Hi, and welcome to Fedmail. Thank you for joining us on this Friday afternoon. Hope you're doing well and in good spirits. This has been a busy week. I think all of us were in shock as we watched news clips on Wednesday night going into Thursday morning of Russian forces invading Ukraine. This is significant news and really an area that we should all be deeply concerned about. First of all, this is a sovereign democratic nation being invaded by a neighboring superpower. For one thing, that is deeply troubling this day and age. In some ways, it's also the end of the world that had been created in the wake of the collapse of the Soviet Union in the late 1980s, early 1990s, when we saw freedom being given for the first time to countries in Eastern Europe after the long reign of communist rule there had ended. Prosperity then ensued, and this is sort of a conclusion to that period of time. So not only are we concerned for the fact that Ukraine has been invaded, of course, but also the fact that this sends a message to other countries around the world with other aspirations for regional belligerents, countries like Iran looking to entrench themselves across the Middle East. China looking at now Taiwan and other areas of Southeast Asia that they hope to exert their influence in. And I think that the response from the United States and our European and other Western allies will be understood and studied by those other countries, other belligerent forces around the world. Also, wonderful words were spoken by the Kenyan ambassador to the UN, who recognized that there are regions, thousands of regions around the world with ethnic, religious, and tribal minorities living on the opposite sides of borders to their brethren. And we have come to a point, basically in world history, where we have decided that it's not worth it to engage in war to reclaim those territories and connect them. As the Kenyan ambassador said, it's unfortunate that lines were drawn arbitrarily without consideration for those minorities and for those groups. And in the 20th century, we saw far too many millions of people who died because of that. But as he said, and he said it very well and articulately, the time has come to put those interests in waging war aside and to focus on peace instead. But of course, we don't think that that's the ideology right now that Russia is undertaking. Vladimir Putin has said that he is engaging in this war to protect Russian interests in Ukraine, a Russian ethnic minority on the eastern border that is neighboring to Russia, which really is unfortunately the same pretext that we've seen so many times before in war, and which ultimately was really what Hitler and Nazi Germany used as justification for taking Sudetenland and then all of Czechoslovakia in 1938. So to say that this is concerning would really be an understatement. With that in mind, Jewish Federations of North America has set up a Ukraine Emergency Crisis Fund. Our local federation, our local community is being asked to support it. We have a link right here in Fedmail. You can scroll down just below the video message. You can find out more about that. 100% of the funds will be sent to our partners at JFNA to distribute on the ground to make sure that people are safe, particularly the hundreds of thousands of Jews who live in Ukraine, which you may not be aware of, but it does have a very sizable Jewish community, including their president, Zelensky, who is Jewish. So there's a lot there. There are a lot of reasons for us to be interested, paying attention, and supportive of our friends and family members in Ukraine. I also want to point out, moving on from Ukraine, that Federation is working with Secure Community Network to put together a security training in person in our community, specifically tailored and geared toward the concerns and needs of Central Mass for March 16th. All community members are encouraged to attend. Now, March 16th, we're holding that during the daytime. It's going to be held from 10 to 12 at Worcester JCC. We need you to RSVP for that. You can RSVP by using the link here. I also want to note that that is a fast day because that night is the first night of Purim. So we won't be providing food, and I understand a lot of you would like to have been able to hold that program in the evening, but due to constraints because of Purim, and more importantly, the fact that the trainers are coming from SCN and they are in great demand all over the country right now. So many communities like ours really want to have these security trainings to better protect and prepare our community members. They're in great demand and it was difficult to schedule them. So we got March 16th. We have them coming March 16th, 10 a.m., Worcester JCC. Make sure you're there. It's really important to have you there. Please, if you need to, take off 2 hours from work, and we'd be happy to write a note to your employer noting the necessity of your attendance. The following day, March 17th, we're holding a community-wide Purim celebration at Polar Park, which is great. Glad I can report on something that should be joyous and festive and fun, because that is the message of Purim, to really celebrate and have a great time. It's an all-star Purim celebration. All of our community organizations are involved. And that should just be a wonderful evening together to celebrate Purim. And then finally, I just want to make a note. There are a lot of events going on in the community, but March 10th, Jewish Theater Company of Central Mass, an initiative that began 2 or 3 years ago. They put on great programs. It's all been virtual thus far. They're doing a program on Bela Schechter Gottesman, known as Bela, a very famous Yiddish artist, poet, and songwriter. They're going to be talking about her life and highlighting her story, which should just be phenomenal. She's a very, very famous Yiddish artist, poet, and songwriter, and you don't want to miss it. In the meantime, be well, stay safe, and pray for world peace. That's what is desperately needed right now. Also, pray that we have wise, thoughtful, and strong leadership from not only the United States, but among all of our allies. Desperately needed right now. With that, I want to wish you a good Shabbos, be in good health, and thank you for supporting Jewish life in Central Mass and around the world. Take care.